Howdy folks, Charlie here from Christmas on Crestline. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for tuning in to a bit of a behind the scenes tour of the yard. I thought it'd be kind of neat to show you guys in the daylight what the show looks like. So for this year's show, I'm going to kind of give you guys a quick tour of the show. I didn't add a lot this year or change a lot this year that I didn't have up last year. It's kind of basically the same show with a couple of key differences, some neat things that I did that were super triple easy that I'm going to recommend you do for your show if it works out for you. Next week's episode is going to be a how to do a hologram in your yard. Incredibly easy, so we'll have that coming out for you guys next week. If you guys want to know how to use a projector, how to project a Santa Claus or a fireplace or anything you want in your yard, so stay tuned for that one. But yeah, I'll show you a quick tour of the yard. This right here is my Peacock Vertical, same as last year. I will have a tutorial of how to build this coming out, I think in 3 weeks, maybe 4, but I will have one of those coming out so you can do that for your show next year. I call them Peacock Verticals. They've been called fans, they've been called fingers. Everybody uses a different thing for them. I just call them peacocks because they're, to me, look like a red and blue and green of a peacock. But yeah, they're just verticals. They're 2x4s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 channels is all this takes, and it kind of gives a neat motion, kind of a windshield wiper sensation during the show. Kind of neat. I like it. Let me show you some other things. This is one of the unique things I did this year. Earlier, or not even earlier this year, last year, I reviewed the Novastella floodlights. These things are IP68 rated, IP66 rated, so they can be immersed in water and they're not going to be damaged at all. I wanted to test that this year. We just had, there's still some snow on the ground actually in my neighbor's yards. We had 6.5 inches of snow last week. These things took it like a champ. I knew being IP66 rated, they're not gonna have any issues. So what I've done in the past, I took a flood lamp and boom, had it shine on my Tune 2 signs. Now these are just Coroplast signs. They're just hard plastic. I don't have anything illuminated this year. Next year I will, so watch for that to come out later in the year. I will have an illuminated Tune 2 sign. But this year I put these Novastella lights. They have this arm on the back, and I simply laid them down on the ground like that. These things were incredibly bright. I would oftentimes come out in the yard, and when all the tour buses and limousines and cars and families are out here, the Novastella app lets you change the color instantaneously at the same time as you change it on your phone. The light changes it here, and I was probably 100 yards away from the light, and it worked just fine. You can use the app anywhere, but I was able to see it. So these things were one of the new things. I got rid of my old floodlights, the old traditional floodlights, and I used these Novastella floodlights this year, and they worked amazing. I have them hooked up to my Alexa account. I have them on timers on my phone, but the show would go off earlier. There's nobody outside. Okay, I will shut it down earlier today. I just tell, hey Alexa, turn off Rusty, or Alexa, turn off Cousin Eddie, because you do have names for them. But these things were dang handy. We're going to do something a little bit different with them, with these Novastella floodlights next year. And I'll leave a link down in the description below if you guys are interested in this. And I'll leave a link up here for my review of these. So if you guys are interested, they are dang neat. They're handy. You can control them with the app. They're super bright. You can control their density. They're a ton of fun. They're a ton of fun, and they worked out very well for me. Just boom, put them down on the ground, and they took 6.5 inches of snow and a bunch of rain. Didn't have any ice this year, but they worked out like champs. Show you the house real quick. So this is where I have my holographic Santa Claus come out. This is just plexiglass. And I had a neighbor, the Santa Claus statue, actually had a neighbor down the street said, hey, I have the Santa Claus statue. It's been new in box for years. We're not going to use it. I think it would be very cute in front of your Santa Claus house. Would you like to have it? I'm like, sure, bring it on over. So this was dang neat. So shout out to Miss Holiday. I thought I wouldn't forget her name because it's holiday and we're a Christmas show. So shout out to Mrs. Holiday for allowing us to use this year. So that was very nice of her. So next week I'm going to have a video coming out about how to project Santa Claus or fireplace or what have you through a window via projector. It's incredibly neat. I do have a few things that I do differently than other people do. So stay tuned for next week and you'll see what I'm talking about. But this is just my Santa Claus house. This is probably going to be the last year it looks like this. I have a hankering to do something completely different. We are going to do a redesign this year of a lot of different things. We're going to redesign the landscape of the yard. Let me show you that here real quick here in a second. But yeah, we got the candy canes here. These are just PVC piping, so just plumber pipes. Kind of neat. If you guys are interested in seeing how these are done, leave it down in the comments. I don't have a need for a third or fourth one, but if there's enough people who comment and say, yeah, I want to see how these are built, then I'll go to the store, I'll buy them and knock that out for you. So let me know down in the comments exactly what you want to see from me this upcoming season for how-tos, for tutorials, what it is you're curious about knowing, and I'll turn those into shows. So also, if you have any, before I forget, if you have any photos of your display this year, send it in to me at christmasoncrestline@gmail.com, and I will put that into a fan appreciation video for the next upcoming season. We've already had our fan appreciation video come out for this year, and I'll put a link up here for anyone who wants to see that if you want ideas. And there's a couple of very cool displays on there that are shown in that, and a couple of small tidbits of tutorials. So check that out for some ideas. But yeah, leave it down in the comments what you want to see from me this year. I'm gonna go on to my verticals real quick. These are what I call my verticals. These are painted 2x4s. They range from, I think, 8.5 feet all the way up to 13 or 14 feet for this one, for the center blue one. These are my original props I did for my show. I don't even know how many years ago now, maybe a decade ago. But these are the original pieces of wood. I painted them, I think, 3 seasons ago, just because I like them. They look neater in the daylight. Does absolutely nothing whatsoever for the illumination of the lights. I just think they look neater. I stay with an RGB theme, red, green, blue, of anything I paint in my show. But if you haven't, these things are dang cheap. What are they, $2, $5 maybe for a 2x4? And I think I spent $3 each on the brackets. I spent more on the brackets than I did on 2x4. Then I always have spray paint, so they are spray painted, but they're incredibly easy. I have a video, I'll put it up here, of how to make these. They are easy, they're neat. I use them like piano keys during my illumination. If you guys have watched any of my videos, my Christmas light videos, you know exactly how I use these, kind of like a piano key or bouncing back and forth. I have 12 here, I have another 12 over there. They take 1 channel each, and depending on them, depending on the vertical, I have anywhere from 600 to 1,000. I went low this year on 600 to 1,200. I went low this year on how many lights I had, because I found on these verticals, more doesn't mean more. Sometimes less is more. So I can get the same exact illumination out of 600 lights on the smaller, shorter ones. Then if I have 1,200 on there, it doesn't look really any different, doesn't bring anything extra to the show. Let me show you these verticals over here. These are my other 12 verticals. These are all, I believe, 109 inches tall if memory serves. And again, I have them painted red, green, and blue. And these, I believe, all have 700 or 800 lights on them. But I keep little nails on the back to kind of keep them from falling down. One thing that's kind of neat about these is, and it's not true in all props are not made the same, but one thing that's true about these is there are a few gaps, like right there. But on these, the gaps don't really matter. From the street, the audience doesn't really see that gap when the lights come on. It is not noticeable at all. So one thing that's I really like about these, one thing that make these verticals so handy and so easy to maintain, is you just wrap them and kind of forget about them. It's kind of plug and play type of thing. Yeah, it takes about a day to make them. To make 24 of them takes about a day, because you got to cut them and you got to paint them, and you got to wrap them. So that does take a full day. But there's very limited repairs. Maybe when I get these things back out next year, if we use these next year, we might go to something a little different. So stay tuned to future videos throughout the year to see what that becomes. But when I go to get these back out for the next season, maybe one string of lights will be bad. But thanks to my LED keeper, and if you guys haven't watched my LED keeper video, check that thing out, because that is a lifesaver. I'll put a link down in the description below to it and up here. That thing has saved me so much time. It's one thing about the Christmas light hobby that is so neat, is you keep learning. There's always something new, or in this case something that's old that is new to you, which is what I love about the hobby. LED keeper's been out for years. I just now really started getting into it and using it and utilizing it a lot. I don't have my tool belt on without that thing in there when I'm hanging lights. I've used that in my trees, I've used that on the roof. That has just come in so handy. If you learn nothing from this episode, pay attention to the LED keeper and pay attention to the Novacilla floodlights, because those things were just handy as all get out this year. Let's go on to my Christmas balls. So this is my giant Christmas light ball. This is 4 by 8 feet of chicken wire, and I molded. I'll leave a link up here and down in the description below to how to make this. But these things are dang neat. I use these as my chasers. It takes maybe 30 minutes to put them together. With these, I have found that squirrels like to eat more lights out of here than they do any other prop, with the exception of one tree I have that should have gotten rid of a squirrel's nest last year, but I didn't want to bug them, and they ate it through a ton of lights. We'll get to that in a little bit. But these things the squirrels will like to eat these lights. That's my only downplay to them. 600 lights on a Christmas light ball is more than enough. I was doing 1100, I was doing 1200, but the weight would just crush the ball. 600 on here is perfect. I would not recommend doing more than 1,000 on these, depending on what type of lights you do. I just use regular mini lights on all of my Christmas light balls. These I use as my chasers. I love the heck out of these. These are one of my favorite things I did for the show. I almost forgot to keep these in place. I use rebar and a lot of different things. This is a piece of this is a screw top. This is just, I got the hardware store here sells these in 8-foot lengths. This is simply, was originally a screw. You can see the threads there, if the sunlight's not blocking you terribly. But yeah, just simply put this into the ground, put that in there, boom, you're done, and they never blow away. So kind of handy. This right here is one change that we're going to make later in the coming year. We're going to take these bushes out. What we found, even though I love animating these bushes, is we get so much traffic. This year we had traffic backed up 3 blocks down to the major thoroughfare at the end of the street, and when you got right here, right to where the camera's at, you couldn't see the rest of the show because these giant bushes blocked it. So we are going to remove these bushes later in the year, so the show is going to look differently next year in a bunch of different ways. This is going to be one of these ways that it will look different. Is these bushes will be gone. We're going to change the landscape and do something a lot different. So stay tuned to other videos throughout the year to see how this comes out. That'll probably be part of the Christmas in July extravaganza series that we do every year. We'll probably add some landscaping videos to this season. One question that I get all the time is, how do I power the show? Many folks, especially with pixel light shows, will have your power injection in the yard. You'll see a lot of them covered up with totes upside down. I have my boxes behind the wall here, and I've made a hole in the fence for them to come out and kind of be strung through here. For me, I don't like Christmas boxes in the yard. I guess we could, and maybe one day we will have to, because that will just be how the show morphs into. But for right now, this is what works for me. I like building our own extension cords, with the exception of these 3 light green. Everything here used to be a Christmas light string. We build, I bet we might be, I was gonna say we're at 1,000 of our own cords. I don't think we're actually at 1,000. 700, probably, definitely 500. But we have a ton of our own extension cords. I'll leave a link up here and down below. If you guys want to learn how to make your own extension cords, they're dang handy. Originally, and I've told this story several times, the first year I started animating, I had 140 controller box, and I dropped $1,000, yeah, because I'm an idiot, on 40 extension cords that were 100 feet long. So yeah, just make your own. That's my advice. Do what you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with it, cool. But we use our own extension cords. I could have saved $1,000 by not buying cords, and since I've spent that money on those cords, I don't use them very often. So there are many different ways a waste of money for us. They worked out great for the first year, got us lit up and going, but I shouldn't have done it. I wasted a lot of money. But yeah, so just, and once these cords are put up, once the show's put up for a year, I'll put the original fence board back up here. This hole isn't here year round. I have 2 different fence boards. I just simply bought an extra fence board for this purpose, cut it and put it like that. So let's get up on the roof and I'll show you a few things. Before I forget, my wife suggested we do a how-to on this. This is the original painting we've had on this shed. It's starting to wear. We're gonna have to replace this if we use the Christmas light house next year. but she suggested to do a how-to video on this, where you paint your picture, you put your lights through it. If you guys are interested in how we did this, obviously it would need to be redone, so we'll show you a brand new fresh one. So leave it down in the comments below, and if enough people are interested, then by all means I'll do a video on how to make it. It's pretty neat. You do not have to be a great artist to do it. It's super easy. But let me know down in the comments what it is you want me to film for you this year, for your show. So to refresh your memory, these are 6 feet 4 inches tall. These are one of my favorite props. I can do so many different animations with them. I can do the windshield wiper, I can have them clapping, I can have them just do a ton of different things with only 5 channels each. This is the backside of one of the 2 Peacock Verticals I have on the roof. Obviously this backside is not painted, the front is, and that's simply because I didn't want to take the time to spray paint the backside that nobody was going to see. These are out in the elements for 6 weeks a year. The rest of the time they're in dry storage. So let me show you how I have them wired right quick. So to have these things wired, I have 1 Peacock down in the yard, 2 up on the roof, so 3 total. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different channels on each Peacock. Now, to animate these would take 5 times 3, 15 channels normally. But what I do is I have them all 3 plugged into one each other. That is another advantage of making your own extension cords like we have here. I have the bottom red over there connected to the bottom red over here, and then extension cord running all the way down to the one in the yard. You've seen already gone through the yard, didn't see a whole lot of noticeable extension cords, especially with the nice green grass that I still have right now. I put a new yard in this year for the show. They blend in really well. They don't stick out like your bright oranges and like your bright green cords. But in order to save money, so I can use the same channels over and over on completely different areas of the yard, we're talking probably 100 feet of extension, no, more than that, probably 200 feet of extension cord, just to connect the 3 Peacock Verticals. Now, the channels I use, the 40 channel boxes that I use, are about $500 a piece. I don't know how to make my own, so I haven't made my own. I buy commercial boxes. So in order to do all 3 as an individual prop for 15 channels, I had to have gone to another box. I didn't want to drop the $500, so I used what I had of my own, which is my own extension cords, and I said, you know what, let's plug them all in together, let's make them uniform, let's make them unison. They're not close enough together to be chasers, they're going up and down, so they're not linear, so they wouldn't work as chasers. Let's make them uniform. So we did that as one thing different for this year's show. Another thing I did differently for this year's show is the strobes I used on my star. So this is a metal star. I'll leave a link up here and down in the description below about the star and how we made it if you're interested to make your own. But we did change the strobes out this year. The strobes we had in the past, they didn't look well on my camera. I have a Sony a7 III, which is a great camera. I love the heck out of it, but it doesn't capture the retro strobes as individual strobes, capture them as one giant light. I wanted to get away from that. These are warm white 5mm strobe lights, and I love the heck out of them. I will take a 5mm strobe over any other type of strobe any day of the week, but this is the only prop I use warm whites on. Everything else is a cool white. So how do we have them on? Let me show you real quick how I have them on here, and that is through magnets. I'm not ready to take it down for the year, so I will just take one of these off real quick and show you. So you can see here, one portion of the cord goes in there, another portion of the cord goes in there. It locks it down tight from either angle. And this thing, they will go through wind, they will go through anything. I love the heck out of my magnetic clips. Nothing will knock them off. We have 2 sandbags down here. I'll show you a picture of that real quick, but we do have the 2 sandbags down there. But these magnetic clips are just so durable, nothing knocks them off, and they hold my minis on the outline extremely well. So if you haven't watched my How to Build a Christmas Star episode, we use the 40-pound sandbags on the back here. Actually, I think these are 70 pounds. We've had a couple of 50-mile-an-hour storms this year where I had to go ahead and lower this down. And I might as well show you right quick. It lowers down quicker than anything. So when I originally built this, I didn't know if I was going to move to another house, and I wanted to prepare for that. So this thing can adjust to many different pitches and levels. I can adjust what pitch and what level I want it on. because I'm lucky with this current home. I have an extremely walkable roof. There's no big danger whatsoever to me being up here. Next house may have a huge pitch to the roof, and I may need this to go in a different format to look level, or different pitch to look level to the folks in the streets that are watching the show. So I wanted to prepare for that. One thing you hear me say all the time is to plan your Christmas light show to do it the easiest way. For us, we always program everything from the north side going left to right, because our power comes from the north side. That's why you see all these extension cords going off of the edge of the roof on the north side, because that's where we power the show. So when you plan your show, be mindful, where's my power going to be at, because that's where you need to plan your extension cords. If you're doing the math and figuring out how many feet of extension cord you need to do your show, the thing you're going to need to start that at, the starting point, is where your power is going to be at. From there, everything else is easy. As long as you have that figured out, you're a step ahead of the game. If you're curious on how I have my C7 lights programmed, or not programmed, but placed upon the roof, nothing terribly special. These are hooks that I reuse every year. I've had these hooks probably 6 or 7 years. They are wide as heck now. In the off season, they'll close back up, which I have loved. They get their rigidity back, and I never have to replace them. But this is how the RGB system, RGBW system, red, green, blue, white, is set up on our roof line. I just use shingle tabs, no big deal, very easy. Takes me maybe a day and a half to do the entire roof line with these bulbs. So they're pretty easy, pretty handy, and I use them every year. It's getting a little windy, so hopefully you can hear me. I think last year I neglected to show you a rooftop eye view of my light pole here. This is a telescoping flagpole, and this is the antenna wire for my radio transmitter. So this thing goes up, I believe it's 27 feet into the air, and I hoist my radio antenna all the way up on top to get a nice big signal going out to everybody. I really need to have an episode this coming year about my FM transmitter and exactly how to do it. There are some legalities to it. Basically 100 feet in any direction, you're good to go. After that, the FCC kind of wants to know what's going on. But there are some ways to just naturally increase your signal strength, and this is one way to do it. So just at the top of the flagpole, I have these hooks just at the top, and I run the radio antenna through the very top one and hoist that bad boy up, and it gives me a nice radio transmission throughout the year. Never have any problems with it whatsoever. I did do an episode already about this bad boy, about how to hang Christmas lights in straight lines on your trees, especially trees that don't have any branches like this fella. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it. I've already got a whole episode about that. What I would like from you folks this year is, what do you want to see from me? This year I'm going to try to concentrate on how-to videos. So if there's something you want me to build, let me know, and if I have time, I'll knock that out. But I really want to know what you guys are interested in, what is it you want to see from me to show you. If you don't have a Christmas light display, and you're like, I really want to get into it, but this is the one thing that really holds me up from doing it. Charlie, can you do an episode about that? Absolutely. Let me know down in the comments what it is you want to see from me in this upcoming season. That's about it. If there's anything I left out that you want to see about, also let me know, and I'll do another quick video. I'll have this up for about another 2 weeks. I'll start taking things down slowly by slowly, a little bit by a little bit. It is going to come down, weather allowing. So we got a storm coming in this weekend, so I'm not sure how much is going to come down. But if there's something I left out today that you want to see, let me know. And as long as I still have it out at my yard, I'll do a quick video and show you how that's plugged in or whatever. That's about it for me today. Thank you for subscribing. Appreciate all the new subscribers that have come into the show. Shout out to Kid Christmas. I'm gonna leave a link down in the description below to his channel. Actually, if I figure it out and I know how to do it up here, I'll leave it up here too. But check out Kid Christmas. He's a 13-year-old named James from Colorado. Just started his own Christmas channel. There aren't very many Christmas tubers, so I would love Lights on Taggart. Steve, I'm calling you out as well. If you have a Christmas light hobby in your blood, get it out. We need more Christmas tubers in the Christmas light community. Also, we've got a couple conventions coming up. I got one in March, just around the corner. So we got a lot of stuff coming on. So Kid Christmas, welcome to the Christmas tuber community. That's it for me today. I'm Charlie. I'll see you in the next video.